So hey everyone, it's David Priemer here from Cerebral Selling, and today I wanted to do something a little different, which is bring you some stories and insights from the sales trenches. Like real reps who have experienced amazing growth at their companies, talking about the way they think about, practice, and execute the sales craft. And in the modern marketplace, especially in the post-pandemic world, one of the organizations that's really leading the charge as far as helping companies modernize their business is Shopify. And I've been super grateful to be working with Shopify and their team for the last little while. And today I am joined by one of their stars, Megan O'Shaughnessy. So welcome, Megan.
Hey, David, thanks so much for having me.
No, my pleasure. Hey, look, for the benefit of everyone out there, why don't you tell them who you are and what is it you do at Shopify?
Of course. My name is Megan O'Shaughnessy. I'm an account executive at Shopify. I actually work on the financial solutions side. So when you think of Shopify, you might think of an e-commerce platform or a commerce platform, which it absolutely is. But there's a handful of other products that we have, in particular, some more financial related products, which is what I do.
No, this is great. And I was saying earlier, this reminds me so much of my journey at Salesforce, because I started to work at Salesforce because they acquired my company. And I had been a Salesforce customer 3 times before. And as soon as I'm part of the organization, I start looking around and I say, we do that? Like we do marketing, we do customers, like who knew, right? So the same thing with Shopify. Who knew that they did some of these things? But I'm kind of curious, everyone sees Shopify and they kind of think of maybe 1 or 2 products that they help, e-commerce merchants with, and you're doing something a little different. I'm curious, like, what are some of the challenges that you've seen coming up to speed, selling this kind of product suite that's a little different than what people think about Shopify for?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The nice thing with my role in particular is that a lot of the merchants that I chat with, or a lot of the customers that I chat with in a sales capacity, are already Shopify merchants. So they have an understanding of who we are. They have an understanding of the platform, which is great. I guess the difficult thing is bringing awareness to the fact that there are all of these other options available to them, some that can really help their businesses grow. So just finding the ability and the resources in order to bring these things into light and show them that, hey, there's these other things that can really help your business grow quickly.
No, I mean, it's great. And I'm curious, like, how do you do that? Because as a merchant, as a customer who's out there, I always talk about the fact that, customers spend a fraction of a percentage of the time giving a crap about what it is that we do. They have their own problems, right? And so you're kind of parachuting in and you're calling these customers and saying, hey, I can help. And in a way, like, you're trying to explain what you do, but also you're trying to garner their attention. Well, like, what do you do? And this probably goes for so many people who are listening out there who are trying to get the attention of their customers, trying to sell something that maybe the customers have never even heard of before. Especially you see this a lot in B2B technology companies where there's so much innovation going on. Like, what's like a great tip or some of your secrets for connecting with customers and helping them understand what you do?
I would say examples from other merchants like them, obviously trying to find out as much as you can about that specific merchant, what their particular problems are, and then really finding parallels with other folks that I've chatted with. I found that to be really valuable. One of the common things that will come up, so I'll back up, one of the main tools that I'm selling, or the main products that I'm showcasing to our merchants, is our capital product. So basically this is money that will allow our merchants to utilize in order to help their business grow. Now, when I'm explaining this to a merchant, if I have examples of, hey, there's a merchant actually really in an industry that's similar to yours, they utilize this to get some more inventory because the supply chains have been really tricky right now, and they're finding that it's really beneficial to get a large amount of inventory up front. Does this resonate with you? Have you encountered problems that are similar? So finding those parallels and other merchants who are experiencing similar problems can really help them connect those dots.
Yeah, I love this idea. I mean, we often refer to this as assumptive priming, which is, based on what I know about you and your organization, I'm going to bring to bear some of the pains that I might typically hear and see if they resonate with you. And look, what you described makes total sense. That's great if, for example, your customer is willing to give you, 30 seconds or 45 seconds of a narrative to explain what it is you do. But sometimes, we don't have that long. So I'm kind of curious, when it comes to capturing customers' attention, one of the tactics that, I know we talk about a lot and we worked on together is this concept of leading with a polarizing statement, or in other words, like picking an enemy, connecting with the customer by not talking about what it is you do, but the problem you're looking to solve. And I saw a clip of you actually using this tactic. So I thought it might be helpful just kind of take what you just described as like the the solution that you provide, if you had like 30 or 45 seconds, and shorten that down to me into this awesome love-hate statement that I've heard you use.
Yeah, definitely. So it can look something like, hey, everybody loves sales, but they hate running out of inventory. And that definitely, that statement can go into some more of your tactics, like the infomercial pitch and things like that. And then ending with a "we believe" statement that you have taught us so kindly. But getting that nice love hate in there really allows the merchant to connect those dots again.
And do you find like those kinds of tactics, do they work like more at the beginning of the sales cycle when trying to get their attention? Do they work kind of at the end? I'm curious, like, how have you used that kind of tactic to get people's attention?
That one in particular, I found to be the most successful just after the initial discovery into more of the pitch, because I have just enough information to have an understanding of which love statement will resonate best with them. But it's still early enough where it will be really impactful.
No, that's great. Look, the thing with messaging tactics, people often think that you have to use them at the beginning of a call or at the cold call or the intro. But the reality is you can bring them out in all different parts of the narrative, and they can have all sorts of different impacts. So it's good to have your arsenal of them. I'm curious, and the funny thing, and the thing I've actually been quite impressed with, I have to say, about Shopify is that, you have reps that are 2-3 months into the business, and you listen to their calls and they sound like total pros, like they've been there for years and years and years. And I'm either it's something in the water or something in the way that Shopify hires reps. But truth be told, you're just a few months in to your role at Shopify. So I'm sure people would be really curious to hear, what are some of the things that you've done to try to get as quick a start as you can, being new into this role, into this amazing company that's giving you all these resources, but still at the end of the day, sales is tough. Like, what advice would you have for someone who's just starting out in their role to come up to speed quickly?
Yeah, it's true. I'm a few months into my role at Shopify. It's been a wild ride so far, learning tons. And it is tricky because, to be a good salesperson, having good messaging tactics and all of these skills are really important, but product knowledge and, that level of that trust when you really know what you're talking about is really key in order to sell well. So it's hard when you're still gathering a lot of context. I would say some of the things that have helped me is, when you do know something, speak that really, really confidently. And then if there are gaps in what you do, if there are things you don't know yet, because maybe you've come across with that confidence on the things that you do know, people won't see those other hesitancies yet. And of course, don't be afraid to say, like, that's a really good question. Like, let me get back to you on that. And I don't know everything yet. And nobody does, especially with the complexities of a lot of the solutions that we all sell. It's okay to not know and circle back, but definitely commit when you do know something. Make sure they know that you know it.
I love it. Look, confidence and conviction will take you a long way. The challenge is when we're new to our company or new to the industry, it's tough to muster that. But there's no other solution other than acting as if and trying to like anchor your emotions on. I love what you said, like what it is that you do know with certainty, and sharing some of the stories that you've heard firsthand is a great way to allow you to do that. Just as we were up here, Megan, I'm curious. We were talking about this earlier. You have a passion for speaking and helping women be more represented in the sales profession, which I think is fantastic. Like, what are some of the things that you've kind of learned along the way of trying to promote more participation in more of these kinds of like live events and seminars and speaking, gigs, all that kind of stuff, in terms of helping engage more women? Because there are so many amazing women in sales and female sales leaders. We need to hear these voices. What would you have in terms of advice for us to be more inclusive in that way?
But when I was starting my sales career, I put a lot of emphasis on putting myself out there, going to a lot of meetups, meeting a lot of people, having a lot of coffees, just to ensure that I'm learning all the things I need to know and learning what it is that I don't. And then through that journey, it exposed me to some really amazing people and some really amazing role models. And I was telling David before, it's really important for a person to be able to see someone doing something that they want to do in order to visualize themselves there. And if you don't have role models that are in a specific place, it's really hard to even dream of what it is that you might want to do one day. With women in sales, there's definitely a lot more. It's come a long way, and it's really amazing to see, which has helped me gain that confidence to enter those places that I wouldn't have otherwise. Through this process, though, I recently did an incubator program called Shine Bootcamp. What it is it's an immersive public speaking program, essentially, that trains up women in order to get equal representation on conference stages and things like that. Yeah, so that program is really cool. Check it out if you are a woman or identify as a woman and you're interested in learning more about getting on stage and getting that confidence in order to speak publicly, and also connect with other folks who are in the industry, in your industry, and gives you someone to visualize so you can see yourself in their shoes.
So look, so important being able to see people in your shoes, not just, you know, as a woman in sales, but as someone in sales. Like, a lot of people don't go into sales on purpose. We all kind of get here by accident. And to be able to show amazing examples of what is in the realm of the possible for amazing women in this profession, for them to get into it on purpose, there are so many benefits. And in fact, I'm going to kind of quote a broad brush in terms of like studies and data, but the data shows that women are actually better in sales in actually a number of dimensions than men. So I'm fully supportive. I have 3 daughters myself, by the way, and so I'm all about people getting into sales and getting into sales on purpose, doing it the right way. And I love what you said about seeing examples of people doing it right. Well, look, Megan, I really appreciate you taking the time here. Anything you'd like to say as we conclude? Any last piece of advice for people listening, thinking to themselves, this sounds really good. I'd love to get into sales. I'd love to, to learn more about like what Shopify does to kind of ready their sales reps for, kind of the field and the market. Like, what one piece of advice would you have?
I'd say for someone new that wants to get into sales, the one piece of advice I would have is to just really lean on your diverse experiences. I have a non-traditional background. I come from the hotel industry prior to tech. And, it wasn't something that I necessarily put a lot of value on when I was transitioning into something new. But it's been a real asset to me to have something different to bring to the table. So, if you are looking to enter into sales or into tech or looking to work at a company like Shopify, just really lean into those diverse experiences, and they're probably going to be really helpful for you, even if you don't see necessarily how.
Look, as a former research scientist who got into sales, I absolutely agree. We all get into sales by accident. And the key is really, falling back on the skills and competencies that you learned in your kind of previous life and bringing them into the sales world. I've connected with so many sellers who have science backgrounds, hospitality, fine arts, acting, business, finance, the whole thing. So I love it. Anyways, thank you so much, Megan, for spending the time with me. I hope you all who are listening found this valuable and helpful, and hope to do more of these again in the future. Take care.
Thank you so much, David.